What's happened is all those things, extraterrestrial vehicles and civilizations, man-made craft, which is the predominant phenomenon seen, by the way, and this extra-dimensional aspect, which is weird stuff like a ghost or something, right? They all get thrown into the same wastebasket. And it's done deliberately to obfuscate and provide confusion instead of clarity. So I feel like what my job has been is to try to bring some clarity to a very complicated subject. But, I founded the Global Disclosure Project in 93. It was called Project Starlight. It was a code word name that Spook, Intel guy, made up for us prior to briefing the director of the CIA. And it's now become the Global Disclosure Project. But the problem with it is that the subject is actually very, very complex.
Yeah.
And to unpack it, which I hope we can do in the next couple hours, it takes a little bit of patience. But what I've tried to do is put the information out that provides the evidence to back up the assessments, right? So an intelligence assessment, as you know, is more difficult than just gathering data. So my primary job has been, all the way back to when I was a young doctor, briefing the CIA director, is not only to put the evidence together, but try to create some sound out of that noise, all that information. What does it mean? Why are they here? How is this being managed? What's the architecture of this extreme deep state, deep national security state? And what is the agenda of that? I mean, these are the big issues. The data and the evidence is now on the internet for anyone on your show to see. It's for free.
Right.
You have to register just because we got attacked by 10,000 bots the day we launched this a couple months ago. But bot farms that were, I'm sure, sent by Intel services around the world, because what's in there is mind-blowing. It's actually if you were to hold hearings here in Washington for a whole year from 9 to 5 in the House Oversight Committee, where I've been doing meetings, you wouldn't get 1% of what's now sitting out there for the public to see. Yeah. And it includes 760 witnesses and military government whistleblowers summarized in there, and 115 of them, you can see their whole testimony, right? You can see all of it. We have 122 documented crash retrieval cases where we have downed the ET craft and gotten them with people named who are on the retrieval team.
This is UFO crashes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the extraterrestrial ones. There are man-made UFO crashes.
But these are 122 extraterrestrial ones.
Yes. Those are it's all there for anyone to look at it. Disclosure Project, Intelligence Archive. Yeah.
The Disclosure Project, 100 plus years of advanced technology has been seized by the government, isolated and hidden and suppressed. And by the way, this can be used for the advancement of human technology and progress. So what your project does is it archives the things you talked about, which is from U.S., Canada, Russia, Australia, the U.K., 145 top secret facilities.
Right. Well, it's now up to 152 or 3. We've just located several others, black sites, we call them. Most of them are DUMBs, deep underground military bases and SCIFs that are out in remote areas, but some are in urban areas. We have one in Orange County in Irvine, we know the intersection of the office building, you go down and that's where one of them are. So all this is being turned over to the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services and House Oversight. Now, whether they'll actually get anything organized, do anything about it, I don't know. But later we'll talk about some initiatives that will sort of, I think, supersede what Congress is doing.
Well, one of the things you said, and by the way, like I want to make sure the listeners are listening, the Disclosure Project, not just the 162, I think you just said, or 152 top secret facilities, but you already mentioned numbers, but I'll say it again, 760 or so witnesses from within the government, from contractors, from military, 122, you said, UFO crashes.
All documented in there and illustrated.
And
you
so
see them.
You mentioned the government not knowing about this. So really talking about two separate governments, the official government that operates within Congress, that has presidential oversight, and then another shadow government that's happening outside of, illegally, unauthorized, outside of any oversight. And that's where the secrecy. So when people say the government's hiding UFOs from us, that's not necessarily true.
Well, actually, the government, excuse my language, couldn't find their ass in a well-lighted room. With
Very true, especially this government right now.
No, it doesn't matter any of them because let me tell you a story.
Go ahead.
It illustrates it because I like things to come alive instead of abstractions.
Yeah.
There used to be a famous astronaut named Gordon Cooper. And Gordon Cooper was a hero astronaut early on. Mercury went up And when he was out at Edwards back in the 50s, I think it was 56, there was an vehicle, a UFO, broad daylight, landed out there on a dry lake bed. We have his whole testimony, all the information. And he's one of our Disclosure Project witnesses, although God bless him, he's passed away now. Years ago, I was giving a lecture to an organization here in Washington with him.
Okay.
And it was a legal group. They pick help pick a lot of the Supreme Court justices. But he pulled me aside and he said, the Secretary of Defense at that time was Cohen under Clinton. And so Cohen had contacted him and asked for everything he had, everything. And he did. And so what Cohen wanted to do, the Secretary of Defense, was find the footage, because Gordon Cooper, his team went out and filmed this object that landed broad daylight and was looked at it, saw it, put it on a general's plane, flew it back to Washington. Now, that was in 1956 or 7. The Secretary of Defense of the United States, with all that actionable information, details, got back to Gordon Cooper and said, that has vanished. I don't have access to it. And Gordon Cooper was astonished. I said, I'm not. I said, I have not met a single honest flag officer or general, admiral, who is on the right side of the law and is not a criminal, who has access to this.